Right folks, Corn in here. This is my new recipe, triple chocolate cornflake tart. As you can see, I made some pastry, 419 grams, was meant to be near 400, but I'll settle that. That's been in the fridge for half an hour, 200 gram of flour, 100 gram of mixed fat, I'll use the last of the lard, and about 80 grams of butter, 2 eggs, a little bit of water and a bit more flour to even it up, and that's how you make the pastry. You've seen me make it before in a few other videos, so I thought we'd skip this step. Okay, next up we're going to roll this pastry out to a thin layer and then we're going to bake it. Okay, now I'm going to roll out the pastry so it's a nice thin pastry. You want it to be about as thick as a pound coin. You don't want it to be too thick. A thick pastry takes longer to cook. Plus, it just doesn't feel right. Pastry should be nothing more than a conduit, if you will, for the actual filling itself. You want this to be a bit thicker than normal because the filling is going to be very intense, but you don't want it to be obscenely thick. You don't want this to be impossible to chew through or take a very long time to cook. Now 400 grams of pastry is not that much, believe me. Okay, that's that done. Let's grab under here, let's grab that terrine dish. Okay, look at that. Now, obviously it's not quite to size, you're going to need to trim this up. I mean, that's the pastry there. It's not quite to size, so obviously you're going to need to trim it up a little bit. You get this. What I'm doing, I'm just grabbing the pastry there and I'm just pinching into the corners. It's going to be a bit awkward to visualise this one. I'm just going to pinch and press into the corners like so, so they merge together as one. This is also the disadvantage of having just one person doing the camera work. Okay, that goes in. Dust a little flour just on the inside. Don't bother with baking beans, right? That goes into the oven, gas mark 5 at 170 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. Right, as you can see, the pastry is cooled down sufficiently. It was cooked for 20 minutes and then left to cool for at least 50. I'm now going to show you how you make the ganache. For those of you who have never made a ganache before, all you need is 2 ingredients. It couldn't be simpler. Half pint of double cream, as fresh as you're going to get, and some good 100 gram of good dark chocolate. I go 70% cocoa solid minimum. Do not, I repeat, do not expect good quality desserts with crap chocolate. Okay? Now what I'm going to do, right, I'm now going to pour in the whipping cream and slowly heat the pan up. Now you don't want much of a flame, okay? The reason is double cream will boil at a moment's notice. You don't want it to boil over, you want it to heat up to about 60, maybe 70 degrees centigrade. You just want enough heat to melt the chocolate, okay? Don't want it to boil. So 300 ml, well, half a pint, 280 ml, so double cream, goes in there and gets dealt with for a couple of seconds. I will now, via the master of camera work, there's a rolling pin and some chocolate, right? Okay, die bitch! Okay, now go into a plastic bowl. I'm just keeping it, and that's it. It's hitting 70 degrees, so we turn that off. Okay. What we then do is we then very quickly grab the cream, and we are very simply going to melt the chocolate with the cream. Okay. Very simple process. Just melt the chocolate with the cream. Okay. Now already the chocolate is melting into the cream, just give it a stir. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that looks ghastly, but watch this. Just keep stirring, and eventually the chocolate will melt into the cream and you will have this beautiful ganache. See, it's melting it already. It's actually going a bit quicker than I expected here. And also a lot of people say, why do you use dark chocolate? Well, dark chocolate's better because you're not adding any sugar to it initially. Why add sugar in the case of cream or anything like that? Why add that to a already sweetened chocolate? Sugar to sugar equals excessively sweet, okay? Now, that is how you make a ganache. Look at that. Beautiful. It's silky, it's smooth, all the chocolate's melted, and what was that, just a couple of minutes stirring, okay? Now for the slightly tricky part. Okay? What I'll now do is I'll now ladle on this ganache, without the spoon going in, into the pastry dough. So, just want about half, and I'm just going to spread it in all areas. You don't want a thick layer of this, but you want to have, look at how glistening that is. That is just a bit. Make sure you get the corners as well. As you can see, it's quite hard to film and cook. I really do need another camera one. But there we have it. Now that gets chilled in the fridge for at least 3 hours, overnight ideally. 100 grams of milk chocolate. Again, you could break it into little chunks yourself. But I personally love making a bit of this. So grab a rolling pin and you smash it. The reason why you break it up is just so it's easier to melt. Again, like I said before with the ganache, high surface volume, so surface area to volume ratio. Right. In the meantime, whilst that is melting, you move the ganache away. And then grab 125 grams or so of crunching up cornflakes. Right. Cornflakes into the chocolate, and remember the bowl is still quite hot, so hold it with a tea towel. Just amalgamate the cornflakes and the chocolate together, and just scoop all the goodness in. Look at that. Just spread it out and make sure it's nice and even. Now normally when you do a cornflake tart, you toast the cornflakes. I couldn't be bothered. And that's it. That goes in the fridge for at least 2 hours. It needs to be completely chilled before you add the chocolate. Over and out. Well, as you can see here, I've got a double boiler on the go, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to break the white chocolate into chunks. Right, the chocolate is officially melted, so I'm going to take it off the heat. Right, I'm working fairly quickly. I'm going to make sure it doesn't spill over, and I'm just going to very quickly grab so literally just Jackson Pollock white chocolate over the top. One more dose. And there you have it, a beautiful Jackson Pollock triple chocolate tart.